Hello and welcome to episode 43 of the Pixel Related Podcast. My name is Kyle. I am your host as always. Joining me this week, we have Adam.
God shits in my dinner once again. Nothing.
Okay.
That Netflix Castlevania is really fucking good.
I've heard that.
It's so good.
It's only like 4 episodes or something like that. That's a little disappointing.
Doesn't overstay its welcome.
Okay.
Doesn't overstay its welcome. Yeah.
Still, I would have. I mean,
it's
and because
so
they're
good.
Like 4 half-hour, 22-minute shows. Like it's a little disappointing. But...
Yeah, super easy watch. Like that. I think if they had gone longer with it, it probably would be a bit more difficult to sit through. But like the first episode, like is just all Dracula. It's just all Dracula, fucking shit up real bad, and it just goes by like nothing. And then like they
check that out.
They don't deal with Dracula by the end of season 1, but they set themselves up real hard for a season 2, and I think they even
it sounds like they've already greenlit that. So hey,
yeah.
Turns out Netflix makes good stuff. Like
sometimes. Yeah.
I mean,
we've started to get the Netflix cancellations, which is a little bit crazy. If you think about it, like a show got canceled on Netflix, multiple shows have been canceled on Netflix. That's weird.
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, it's like we're past the point where like everything that Netflix puts out is gold. It was like that for a year, maybe a year and a half. But
Adam Sandler came along and ruined it.
You know what? I heard that second Adam Sandler one, I still haven't watched it, but I heard that the second Adam Sandler one was actually all right.
You still haven't watched it. You still haven't watched it, which is implying pretty heavily that, like, yeah, of course I'm gonna go watch that Adam Sandler thing.
No, I'm not, but I don't. I also don't really watch movies. I watch TV. I watch shows, and then I tend to watch movies in actual theaters. You know, I am a patron of the arts, sir.
If I want to see a shitty fart joke, I want to see it in the theater.
Exactly. Let me adjust my monocle, sir. I don't know. You know, we just had a conversation about 5 minutes ago about we never get off topic, and we've already ran this off the rails. All right, so hey, we it's summer. We have done the thing that we tend to do each summer after E3, which is not do a podcast for about a month.
Yep.
Because
we
it's
get
summer,
one really big one in. We
get
one really big podcast in, and then we're like, okay, we chill.
Yeah, so go listen to that again. No. So anyway, so we're here to talk about stuff, but then also, even though it's been almost a month since we last podcasted, there's not a whole lot that's happened because it is, the end of June/July. There's not a lot going on, like
it's a good time for catching up though.
It is a good time for catching up, which is what you and I have both been doing with our PlayStation 4 console exclusive titles. Right? Nier didn't come to Xbox, did it?
Yeah, Nier's only on PC and PS4.
I hear that PC version's real bad.
It's like it's really a shit show, which sucks, because that seems like that would be a pretty okay way to play that game.
Yeah, it is. So we've been playing some games, and we're going to talk about that. We got a little bit of news to talk about. But Adam, you've been playing, as I just very 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 subliminally hinted. You've been playing Nier Automata.
Tomato.
Yeah, Nier Tomato.
Potato.
Nier Tomato.
Yeah, Nier Tomato.
We talked about that game like 2 months ago or something like that. You had started playing it. Yeah. And now you finished it, what, 6 times? 7, 10? How many times do you have to finish it?
In order to get the quote-unquote true ending, you have to finish it 5 times.
Okay.
4 times, and then which leads into the final ending, which only takes 10 or 15 minutes or so. It's insanely difficult, that part of it, but... Yeah, I finished it. I think the first time I was like, oh yeah, it's got a lot of quirk and it's got a lot of charm, and then by the fucking end of this game, I'm like, God damn, everything's super fucked up. I hate why do we exist? Like it's this it's this nihilistic nightmare that I came out afterwards. Like why do we ruin everything that we love? But also sometimes life is not super shitty. Um
Okay.
that game goes places. So the ending thing is, I think it's tough for people to wrap their heads around it because it's not really an ending. So you finish your game your first time and it's like it's an okay platinum action game. And then it says at the end, it's like, hey, you've just experienced one of the endings. You probably should go back and try to experience more of them. And we really are glad that you got this far, but this isn't really the end of the story. And so you go in and you continue, and then you're just playing as an entirely different character. So you get like a different perspective on stuff. It's mild spoilery sort of stuff, but your second run, you play as 9S, who is the sort of companion of 2B, the main robo gothic Lolita girl in that is on the advertisement and everything for it. So you get like a different perspective on everything. He has different abilities. He can hack into enemies, which is super overpowered. You end up wrecking stuff real bad when you do that. Um, and like it gives you like a couple different missions, and there's some cleanup stuff. If you didn't complete any of the side missions, you can kind of complete some of them. Um, and then like you go through that story again, and then it's like, hey, you're done, maybe. And then you go into your third run, and that's an even more drastic shift because you're continuing the story after the end of both of those endings. And then your fourth run is sort of just a different choice. You make a decision at the end of the game, and your fourth ending of that game is pretty quickly done. Probably half an hour or so. And then you get a different ending there. And then it's like, hey, now it's time for you to do the final ending, ending E. And so, like, all of that stuff just kind of compiles to make a really interesting story that his characters work really well by the end. 9S is a character, like, your first time through, you're like, oh, this dorky little dipshit. Like, you just kind of, like, you don't take that guy, like, seriously at all. And then by the end of the entire thing, you kind of understand, like, oh, okay, so this is what's going on with him. This is, like, his story. Here's the story of these other characters. You get like a lot of these characters are built out like really well. There's a point in that game that I think like is maybe one of the most fucked up things that I've ever been witness to in a game ever, potentially. I don't want to spoil that because it
No.
left me kind of brutalized at the end of it. I really love that game, and I said this to you guys, like I this game to me is like at the top of my list for games of the year, which before that was like Resident Evil 7, Yakuza 0, but like this just hit in such a perfect fucking way, that it's a game that I keep thinking about even this amount of time after I've, a couple weeks now after I've done it. Um, And yeah, man, it's so fucking good. It's insane the the things that Yoko Taro, that mad asshole, like was able to do um with his basically his last chance at making a game for Square Enix. Because Yoko Taro is known for making these games that like have really interesting themes, but don't play very well. I understand that like the original Nier that I never played does not play that well. It's kind of a bad game to play, but like the stuff they do with their story is like similarly like yeah, there's some really messed up stuff that happens in those games, but it's interesting and compelling. And then, you know, the Drakengard series before that has like a similar vibe to it. Man, this game is so fucking good. Like
But this
it's
but this game, because it's platinum, is actually fun to
yeah.
play at the same time.
Yeah, like your so your second run when you're playing as 9S, like you do not have a lot of sword combat. Just because the hacking stuff is so overpowered. You can take down like almost anything with just a couple of hits with your hacking power, and I kind of feel like that was intentional because they don't want you to do the same fights that you did the first time. They don't want you to be like, okay, I'm doing the exact same thing again. Um, so like you have a pretty good period where you're like, okay, I'm not really doing a ton of sword combat, and then eventually you do go back to using sword combat, and it's like, oh wait, this game like really has got some good action to it. Systems of like upgrading your character and putting in new abilities and everything work in such a way that like it never feels like a lot of platinum games like I played through like Vanquish also these past couple of weeks, and just like going through that game was such a fucking chore because it felt like every time you died that game was like, you suck, you're terrible at this, screw you, do it again. And here there's so many options that you have for how you can play that it winds up not necessarily being like super easy, but I never felt like dying was that big of a deal. Like it was just another part of the game, and it's just it's so fucking good. Like I really was impressed by the end of it, and everybody who's been talking about it, like yeah, believe that hype because it is that good. Like that mix of like Yoko Taro's weird stuff, his weird style, and then you know one of the producers of Final Fantasy and Platinum working on this game together just is this weird, perfect nation of what Yoko Taro has been trying to do for years, and it sounds like that game is selling really well. Like Square has been like, yeah, that game super outsold our expectations on it. We had no anticipation that like anybody was gonna like it after Nier failed to sell really well. So
I mean, it's honestly, it's kind of surprising that this game even exists. Like
yeah.
Nier seems like one of those like super like cult classicy type games where like even the people who really liked it were like, yeah, but it's rough at times. Like
Mm-hmm.
like I definitely heard a lot of people speak highly of that game, but they speak of like the story, the characters, the style, and then it's kind of like, yeah, but there's like fishing and junk
Yeah.
that's just terrible.
I
Like,
mean, and they were trying to do a lot of weird stuff. I mean, they do a similar thing here where it's like, okay, it's like got the sword combat, but it's also got the shmup stuff, and then it's got like dual stick shooter stuff. They were trying stuff that was like even crazier with the original, where it was like there was like this Diablo-esque portion of the game where it was a top-down hack and slash, and then there was a basically version of the original Resident Evil in there, and so like it was always a thing that seemed like those ideas kind of clashed, and no matter what the characters are, no matter what the story is, if the game don't play well, the game don't play well. And here it seems like they kind of narrowed their focus down to working on a couple things, getting those couple things really well, and then building out from that, like their story and building out the world that they exist in. To talk about Nier, the original Nier game, you definitely don't need to have played it. This game takes place in like the year, I want to say like 11,000,
yeah,
and
a
the original
long
Nier,
time after the original.
Yeah, like 3,000, or like I think like the original Nier took place, I want to say like in the year 3000, and even that was like a weird joke take off of one of the endings of Drakengard 3. So like there's this whole weird lineage that game has. They do sprinkle some stuff in there. You do find like some documents that are like, oh, here's some information about Project Gestalt from the original Nier, and here's these characters who are being referenced that play some amount in the original game. The only reason I know any of that stuff is Super Bunny Hop did a really comprehensive video on the original Nier, tried to kind of get it into like a 15-minute, 20-minute format of like, here's what you need to know, here's the things that are kind of important, and here's the themes that are being played with. I felt like that was a fine primer to this game. And having not played it, just having seen like that video and a couple of other like lore videos for the original Nier, there was definitely a moment like, oh, okay, so this stuff, this area actually was that area in the old. Okay, that's kind of cool, but it's never like, oh yeah, this character did this thing and Nier did this, but he sacrificed himself so that. And the lineage of these games is so out of control. And then there's like a whole like concept album and stage show that was a prequel to this that had like the humans fighting these aliens that are in this game, and it's so fucking crazy the amount of stuff they just built. Like there's like a fifth ending for the original Nier, but it's only in book form. Like you have to go out and buy the book, but it's never been translated over into English, or like not officially translated to English. Which you don't need to worry about that. Like when you start seeing like people going like, oh yeah, and then there's also the stage play that was the predecessor for this whole thing. You're like, okay, that's something I never want to dive into because that's insane. Because it's a Japanese stage show that has like anime battles in it. So,
I mean that actually,
I've seen little snippets of it. It's not as cool as you would think. It's not as good of an idea as you would at least hope.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been really interested in this game. This kind of came out, earlier in the year, there was that like 2-month period where you got Yakuza, you got Nioh, you got Nier. Like there was like a bunch of like, man,
sorry, what?
The Nioh or Neo, wherever you say it.
It's Neo.
I'm gonna call him Nioh because Neo is the guy from the Matrix. I'm gonna call him Nioh. Is it not? Is it really just Neo?
It's Neo. Yeah.
Can't. That's just no.
That's. It's almost like that game takes place in Japan or something weird. That.
Anyways, so you had that like block of like, hey, these are these really cool, like high quality, like Japanese games that like found a market to kind of stand out from kind of like we just don't see that very often.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to say. I mean, you've played it. I mean, Yakuza was certainly really good, but there was a long storied history of Yakuza games. Where Nier, I think, is kind of one of those where people are like, oh yeah, I kind of like I recognize that like smiling skull thing, like that's probably
kid, yeah.
Is that what it is? It's whatever it is. Yeah, like you've probably seen that image somewhere out there, and that's probably it. So for this to be as cool and interesting the game and just kind of the dedication it sounds like that Square let them put into this game to kind of make it as crazy and interesting as it is, it's definitely on my radar, one that I hope I get to before we get into the craziness of Destiny 2 and Shadow of War and all the stuff coming out this fall. And that time is dwindling away very, very quickly, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, it definitely sounds like that you should, if you have any interest in that, you like Platinum Games, like the stuff that I've seen about like the perspective shifts and like you're saying, kind of like the shmup stuff, and then like 2D side scroll, like there's cool stuff that is in that game, just from a artistic gameplay perspective, not even to get into the story. And I mean, look, at anything that makes you like question your existence is probably worth checking out in some form or another.
Yeah. There's also that demo. That demo was the thing that I think put a lot of people onto this game, because they released the demo, I want to say in December, and this game came out in March. So they had a good amount of simmer time on it, and that demo is like in telling you how that game plays. You get all the shmup stuff, you get the top-down shooter stuff, you get a giant boss battle where you're beating the crap out of this giant robot with his own arm. Like, it gives you a really good idea of how that game is going to play. So if you like have any interest in it and you're like, I don't know how it plays, that's definitely the way to go. Just play that demo and you're probably going to be convinced at that point. I mean, I don't know you out there, listener, whoever you are, or maybe I do. I don't know who listens to this show.
I don't know.
Is it just my mom? Like, is that the only person who's listening to this show? I don't know.
Well, she should check out Nier.
She should.
Nier Automata.
She should.
So yeah, so the one of the things we're talking about the summer, one of the reasons that I'm not playing Nier is I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn, which is of course the like big giant PlayStation 4 exclusive that unfortunately came out the week. Was it the week or was it the week of Zelda? Did it come out like the Tuesday before Zelda came out on Friday?
I want to say it was the day. I think it was like the week before Zelda. Yeah,
the week before maybe. Okay.
Or Zelda came out on a Friday and
I don't remember exactly.
Solomon Grundy born on a Monday. Horizon Zero Dawn thrown in a tomb on a Tuesday. I don't know what the rhyme is. Yeah, it was soon.
Yeah. So and unfortunate for Horizon, no fault of its own. I'm a huge Zelda fan, so Horizon got kicked to the curb pretty quickly when Zelda showed up at my door. So I dove back into it, and actually I'd only played like maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours or so of Horizon. To give you perspective, I hadn't finished the proving to show you how little of that game I had played prior to Zelda coming out. At this point, I'm probably somewhere around 18 hours in or something like that. And I am taking, it's a giant open world game, and I am taking my sweet ass, nice open world side quest time with this game.
Do you have a sense of like how, like what percentage of the way you are through that game? Or
I have no idea, because I have like made it a point to like hunt down and finish every little side quest before I move on to like the next main story mission. And I basically just got to the second main area, which is the city of Meridian. Which opens up again, because it's this giant city, open up all these other side quests in addition to continuing down the main storyline. I mean, I would guess maybe a third of the way through. It's kind of, like I said, it's hard to tell.
I think when I had stopped playing, I had just reached Meridian, so
yeah. So I mean, that's the point I'm at.
I definitely was not being like as slow as like, okay, I'm going to go through everything, but yeah.
Yeah, well, and so I mean, what I'll say is that like the side missions and stuff like that are all, for the most part of what I played, they're all interesting. There's conversations and characters and stuff like that. They're for the vast majority of them are not just, hey, go run around and do this and then come back and give it to me type of like fetch quests or whatever. They all seem to be a little bit more involved in that. I'll admit I wasn't, as I kind of started getting into the game, I wasn't feeling it a lot. Once you kind of get past the proving, through kind of like the opening like tutorial, like, hey, we're going to teach you how to hunt, you're going to take down this beast, like all that cool stuff, they kind of start throwing you into like Far Cry type things where it's like, hey, there's this camp, and so you're going to sneak in and you're going to kill all these guys, and you got to get rid of the alarm or they're going to call in more guys. And I've so far found the point, like the actual combat against real dudes has been kind of blah and just uninteresting. And so it was kind of hard for me to kind of get into it, and like it was like I'm really liking some of this, but I'm not liking a lot of it. really what I started digging about it though is the actual beating the giant machine dinosaur monster things.
Mm-hmm.
So like one of the coolest parts of the game that I've played so far is when, forget what they call it. They call it a vault, I think. I don't remember. Where basically you go into the machine, the I
Mm-hmm.
forget what they call it, the old world. Basically, it's like
Yeah.
part of the humanity that used to be there, and so you go down through part of the whatever the robots that obviously took over humanity, and you get to a factory where they are making the robots, and it's this complete shift of what the game looks like. The aesthetics are completely different because it's all metal and machines and all this stuff, and you end up fighting a big boss at the end of it. And when you start diving into that type of thing, like, hey, like I am in this arena with this one enemy, and you scan it and you see this tank right here controls this thing right here, and then you kind of slowly start to use the game's mechanics to like, hey, if I knock off that thing, he can't shoot fire at me anymore, or if I knock off this other thing, then he can't like he's not going to swing his tail at me, like whatever, like that kind of like, it's not necessarily a puzzle aspect to it, but there's like a methodical, like I'm going to tackle this in a very certain way to take down this giant beast, which otherwise would just completely destroy me, because Aloy is very fragile in this game, at least to the point that I am right now. And that was just super cool. And then shortly after that, as you're getting closer to Meridian, the game kind of like on the the path that it's sending to, you run into essentially a dinosaur. It's called the Thunderjack, if I remember right, something like that. I took a picture of it. I posted on
That
Twitter.
sounds right. That sounds right. Yeah.
I was real proud of myself because that fight, like I got the feeling like I probably wasn't supposed to try to fight that thing because it was incredibly difficult, and I basically had nothing left when I was done fighting that thing. As far as like, I was completely out of health. Like I was running around trying to pick up flowers so I could heal myself so it didn't kill me with the next blow. Was using my arrows to what they call tear arrows to like target specific things so it couldn't do its charge or couldn't do its lava, like whatever it was. That fight was just so cool, and it was literally just, hey, like I'm gonna just take down this giant monster methodically. Like you knock off like one of his missile silo things, and then you can pick it up and use it against him, and that seemed like the way to go because that did a ton of damage to him. And it was just so cool and so awesome. Actually, makes me really think that I might like Monster Hunter. I've never tried a Monster Hunter game, but if Monster Hunter is anything kind of like that experience of like tackling this giant singular monster in a really interesting way, I don't know. I think that's what it is. I don't know.
It's similar, but then it's also like in an open world. I know, like God Eater is supposed to be similar to that, and I played a bit of God Eater, and that game is pretty cool. So like taking down that giant dinosaur is like one of the coolest things I've done in a game in quite a while. Like it was really cool. It was really entertaining. It was really interesting. I am digging what's going on with the story and the kind of, there's some stuff going on with Aloy where like you're not entirely sure what you even are in that game, and she's got the whole hero syndrome where she doesn't know what's going on because all the secrets are being held from her, and she doesn't know who her mom is and where she came from, raised by this mysterious guy, like all of this stuff. That mystery is interesting and it's cool, and I'm definitely looking forward to see it. But I'm definitely like, the highs are really high, but then sometimes the lows are just like, yeah, I'm just shooting these like guys in the face with my bow and arrow, and it's just not. It's like some of it's just really not interesting, and some of it's really cool. So I sure hope that over the course of the game, it's a lot more of the interesting, cool stuff than the kind of boring fighting bad guys stuff. I'm gonna keep going. I'm definitely enjoying my time, and I know there's tons of stuff I haven't unlocked. Like there's a rope thing that you can unlock that you can tie down enemies to try to hit their weak points easier and stuff like that. There's so many cool things in this game. But yeah, it took me a good while to kind of really see the cool mechanics that are in there. And as well as I think a lot of it comes from you have to like actively decide to do that stuff. Like
I could have just completely walked around that dinosaur and just snuck past it and not fought it. But I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to fight this, and I'm going to try to take off. I'm going to try to like aim and try to take off all of these parts, try to make this fight easier. And it worked. It was super cool. It was super fun. I don't know, how long ago did you stopped playing? It sounds like maybe about the same point I did, or at least
right when Zelda, like right when Zelda came out and Persona was out and Nier was out. I was like, you're on the back of the line at this point, kiddo. Like it seemed like it was really good, but it hit at the worst possible time this year. Like there was so much good stuff that came out in such a short amount of time, and I was like also still working my way through Yakuza, and like there was just too much shit out at that point. So I'm probably gonna go back to that. I kind of want to try to get through Persona before I do that, because I feel like Persona. I feel like that would be a good cool down game off of a game like Persona. Like, okay, I've gone through 100 hours of RPGing, and now it's time to just
run around in an open world and kind of do whatever.
Yep, just go stab some Robo Dino. Like I think that would be a little bit better for me to do it in that order then.
Yeah, so that's actually Horizon was my break from Persona, except I was just getting burned on Persona much earlier than actually beating that game.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate for Persona, because I just don't know. I think that game might be too much for me. Nothing against that game. I think that game might just be too much. It's a giant, intimidating game. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, don't sleep on Horizon. I don't think anyone is. I think tons of people have talked about how good that game was, and like, hey, like you take a good studio and you put AAA backing behind them and let them go out and do this crazy new IP, and you're gonna get good things from it. Like more, like I wish publishers had more faith in AAA game companies to do stuff like that. We don't see that often. Instead we're getting Halo 6 and Gears 4 and Uncharted 4. Not necessarily any of those games are bad, but
it was either that or we get Killzone 5, I mean, at that point with Guerrilla, what else is Sony going to do with them besides do something new? It's like, oh, well, I guess we'll let you guys go. I guess we'll let you guys go make a new game.
Man, Shadowfall Shadowfall is probably an okay game. I tried playing that, like, it must have been right around the time that Destiny came out, because that's when I got my PlayStation, like a couple months before Destiny came out. And the tight controls and like aiming and stuff like that, like which in my opinion are perfect in Destiny, and then going to Shadowfall, which is like slow and plodding and just I couldn't. That game seemed absolutely terrible in comparison. But it's probably okay.
The Killzone games have just been okay. They're not great, but they're okay. They'll do the job in a pinch.
Hey, I think Killzone 2 is a pretty fantastic game. It did some cool stuff in multiplayer that I honestly thought would have been copied by other games, and apparently no one did. I'm talking about you go into a match, and the objective would just change. Like it would be like, we're gonna basically do a best out of 5, but what to actually get that point is going to change over the course of the match. And I thought that was a cool, brilliant, like innovative idea that I thought everyone would steal in some part, and like maybe a little bit with like Battlefields, like what do they call it, like the rush mode or whatever, kind of does something like that.
Yeah.
But not to the same extent Killzone 2 did. So I didn't write this down, and I didn't mention this before the show. There's another game that I should probably talk about, because I have a review for it up on the website right now.
When is that available? When is it available?
Right now.
Right now.
As of about I don't know, 5 hours ago or so, something like that.
And where can I find this review at? Where can I find this review?
Pixelrelated.net. So
okay.
So I played and I reviewed a game that's actually been out for a couple of months, called Death Squared. which is kind of a I kept wanting to use the word. I want to use the word quaint, but I don't want it to sound like it's like a negative term. It's kind of just like it's this fun little game. It feels a lot like Portal. It is you go through a series of 80 puzzles with these cube-like creatures, and there is a guy and a robotic AI talking over you, kind of providing commentary and kind of like an ongoing story. And there's this kind of evil corporation called Omnicorp that seems to be kind of running everything. So they're not evil, but they're probably evil considering like some of the memos and stuff like that the guy gets throughout the course of the game.
Omnicorp sounds like a name I can trust.
But the whole point of the game is in the story mode, there are two little robots. And if you're playing by yourself, you have to control the robots, one with the right stick, one with the left stick. If you're playing it with co-op, you get one person gets one person gets the other. And it's called Death Squared, and that's like it has like 6 different meanings because it's you're gonna die a lot because it's death, and a lot of times the way that it happens, because these are puzzle games, if you mess up and you move in a certain way or whatever, your cube isn't the one who dies, it's the other cube that dies, which is really fun in co-op to constantly over and over again keep killing the other person.
It's a divorce game. It's a divorce game, is what you're telling me.
I prefer to call it a relationship strengthener. So yeah, because I mean the entirety of the game is filled with lasers and spikes, and oftentimes that stuff is turned on when you step on a switch. And so a lot of times you'll load into a mission and it'll be like, what does this switch do? I don't know. It's probably going to kill you. Let's find out. Click. Yep, that's where the laser. Oh, you died there. Okay. So now we know we have to avoid that switch until you move out of the way. It's a really fun little game. I don't know how fun it would be just playing it by yourself. But in co-op, I found it to be an absolute blast. There's definitely some missions where things were a little bit, maybe a little bit tense, more tense than they were when we started said puzzle. But that's to be expected with a game like that.
We just walked away from it, and then we forgot that it existed for a while, and that's fine. That's fine to do.
So I played it on the Switch. It seems like a really perfect Switch game. It's actually from this looks, it's actually cheaper on Switch than it is other places because it's $15 on Switch and it's $20 on Steam. But it has been up for a couple of months. I mean, it's all over the place. I think you can get it. I think it's on PlayStation 4 as well. I don't know if it's on Xbox. But it seemed like a good Switch game because it is that couch co-op. Like we're just going to sit here and do it. It also has a party mode where there are 4 controllable cubes. So if you play that with 2 people, each person is just controlling 2 cubes, one with each stick, or you can play that with up to 4 people. Or if you're really crazy, you can play it by yourself by holding the triggers to decide which cube is controlled by which stick. That just seems terrible.
So is it the sort of thing where like you have to be moving super quick at these points, or is it like a puzzle game where it's like, okay, I'm setting up this one person to move over here and this one person to move over to this point? Like, is it a thing where you would have to be acting immediately? Because like I would almost think, really, okay,
yeah. So like there are times where like, so for example, there's puzzles where there's a laser and that laser is pointed at the other cube. And that laser is mounted on your head. So as you move, that laser is also moving, but the entire time it's trained on that cube. So as your partner moves, you also have to move to make sure that there is something blocking the sight line between you. Otherwise, that person will die. And so there are definitely points where you have to like coordinate how you're moving to not kill the person. And it works really well. It definitely requires a certain amount of cooperation. There's definitely times where we were kind of doing the like Portal 2 thing where it was like, all right, 1, 2, 3, move, like things like that, which I remember doing a lot in playing Portal 2 co-op, which was a similar one that gave you lots of options to kill your AI part or your co-op partner. It's a cute little game. Like I said, it's something that definitely works in co-op, and I think it works really well on the Switch. Like I said, I got the review on the website if you want to see a little bit more about it. It is very reminiscent of something like Portal. Like there's this like scientific detachment, the like, oh yeah, these are these like the game world, these cubes are being controlled by AI, and they're testing these AIs to see how smart they are, so that the more tests that they complete, the smarter AIs these are, and then they will be used for some sort of, probably terrible, nefarious mission for Omnicore that the main guy, David, doesn't know what it is. It's just job just to be the operator, just to control the tests and move these AIs forward. But it's all kind of light and fun, and every now and then you'll get like interludes between puzzles where Dave will receive a interdepartmental memo that's talking about how if anyone is stealing lunches out of the fridge, and we find out who you are, you will be tased. Like just like kind of light and fun things like that. That just kind of like a lot of like tongue in cheek, just like kind of interesting, creepy stuff. It's fun. It's a cute little game. If you like that type of like co-op puzzle game, and you don't get too upset each other over constantly killing the other person when you mess up, I would definitely recommend it. I definitely had a lot of fun. It's got 80 courses for that have 2 robots in it, and then it's got 40 courses that have 4 robots into it. I did all of the 80 between playing co-op with my wife, and then we tackled about 2/3 or so of the 4 robot courses, and that gets when you actually have to stop and control 2 different robots with each stick, and again sometimes you're moving at the exact same time. That definitely gets a little brain bendy for sure, but it's fun. It's real fun. But yeah, that's called Death Squared. Available on a bunch of different things, but
hey, speaking of Switches, we didn't write this down. We got a second Switch.
You said you were gonna.
Yep, and we did. Yep.
It makes
it happened. Yeah.
That's a thing that you can do.
Yep. Totally. And that kind of dawning realization as soon as we got it, like, oh shit, we have to buy like some of these games multiple times now.
Yeah, it's like, not. It's not like the PlayStation or Xbox where you can just share your games on the same time. You have to actually buy that little disc, or even if it is digital, you can't share that between Switches.
Can't share them on different. Yep, cannot do that. I can't sit there and play the Mario Karts with my girlfriend until we go out and buy another copy of the game, which, okay, I guess, whatever. That's dumb. Especially since, I mean, like, there's some games it's like, okay, we just gonna have one of those copies of that game, but like, yeah, like I definitely want to be able to like play Mario Kart multiplayer with the full screen, or like Splatoon when that comes out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, because Splatoon doesn't have any type of split screen or anything like that, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for that type of console. Even just like a 2-player split screen to be able to jump into the multiplayer and stuff like that seems like something that should be in there. Because didn't the Wii U version have like where one person could play on the TV and one person could play on the tablet or something like that?
Yeah. I think one person could do the TV, one person could do the portable mode. I believe
gamepad.
Yeah.
That's I
believe.
So, I was a little disappointed to see that Splatoon 2 wasn't going to have any type of split screen, but
right. But yeah, we did that thing, and then also like wound up so Prime Day, this Amazon Prime Day thing. Full disclosure, I happen to work for Amazon, but they had a pretty bad time on Prime the first hour or two of Prime Day, where stuff got discounted really way too far. So I got a copy of the Crash Bandicoot HD collection for $6.
Oh, you bastard!
That was not supposed to happen. I got a copy of the Kingdom Hearts HD collection for about $15. I got
that one I'm most upset about, because at least that first game does not hold up well.
I have never played those ones, and I figured that the new one looks pretty okay, so I would like to check those out at some point. Um, I was able to get the Mega Man Collection 2 pre-ordered for $6. My girlfriend was able to get Hey Pikmin pre-ordered for $6. And Metopia for like $15. They were super fucked. They super fucked up their sale. So, pro tip to anybody: make sure that if you're interested in buying games, you're paying attention the night before to this Prime deal, because it was such a mess that my Twitter feed with all of the people that I follow who do like deals and stuff, it was just like one of them was just like, I don't even know what I'm ordering anymore. I'm just clicking on everything that I can.
Because
like it started, yeah, it was like okay, yeah, like Digimon World got discounted weird. I was like, okay, I don't really care about that. And then it was like, no, everything is like this. Like, yeah, like Ukulele was like $10.49, which is still probably too much for that. But
still too much money. Suck it, Ukulele.
Mighty Number 9 was like $3 again, still too much money. Like there was a lot of really fucked up prices that went on with stuff.
Yeah, man, that Crash Bandicoot for $6. That kills me. Like
that's
like, because that's what they're selling for $40, right? That game's been out for like a month.
I don't even think it's been out for a month. I think it's been out for like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think that came out like the very end of June. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think what was happening was they were like they were double, or in some cases, like in some of these, they were quadruple stacking their discounts. So like you would get your Prime whatever discount they were offering on it. So like that, it was, I don't know, like $5 or $6. I want to say it was because it was still within that the window that Prime has for it's like 2 weeks and you get X amount, but they were stacking it like 5 or 6 times. It became insane, and I initially didn't even think I was going to get. I'm like, they're going to cancel that. There's no way in hell they let that go through. And then they're like, oh yeah, it's shipped out. I'm like, all right, cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was a really weird thing. So definitely, if you're interested in getting games, I guess be on the lookout at next Prime Day when that rolls around.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, so I had a similar got to take advantage of a cool little promo. There was a deal that Best Buy was running where you could turn in a laptop. All to do was turn on for $75.
Not bad.
And the whole point was to like turn it into $75, and then they also gave you like an additional $75 coupon towards some like $1,000 Samsung laptop. But I just took down a piece of crap laptop that I had sitting around. I got $75 for it, and I was like, okay, that sounds great. It was a good little time. I actually had another one I was going to bring down, and they cut the deal early because I bet they lost a whole lot of money on that deal.
Because a lot of people were taking advantage of it,
Yeah.
That's on them.
It's a good deal. So I think we talked about all the games that we were going to talk about. There's a couple little stories that we wanted to talk about. Both of these are kind of old in comparison to what time we're actually doing this. But the first is that one of the saddest and unfortunate stories that had happened earlier in this year turns out to actually have a very good and very happy ending. Of course, we're talking about IO Interactive being granted their freedom. Well, it's not really the right way to say it, but they were able to buy themselves out, as well as retaining the rights to the Hitman franchise, which, considering the sad and scared state that game and that company was in over the last 2 months, that's just really good, really exciting news to see kind of everything turning out okay for them. So hopefully we'll get to see something interesting coming out for Hitman.
It sounded like they had been starting to work on season 2, so obviously they had to cut a lot of employees, so they're gonna have to find a publisher. which you would almost hope that Sony or Microsoft would do something there to sort of pick them up, if it's not going to be anybody else.
Yeah,
because it seems like the problems with that game were entirely on the weird way that game was sold, and like, here's this, you can't get the complete season until the thing is done, but you can get like these. It was just such a weird pricing scheme that they figured out for it. So
yeah,
that's great.
And they've
That's
gone
great.
out there and they've made the opening section, the like tutorial boat level, and I think the hangar level as well are free on. All
it's the entire ISA. Yeah, it's the entire, I think, ISA facility is free to play now.
Yep.
So
that's super cool. So if you had any doubts about whether or not the Hitman would be a thing for you, you have no excuse now to not go check it out. But I mean, this is just a good sign for the future of what could, or hopefully will eventually be a Hitman Season 2. Depending on how this would have, could it have ended up? We could have been the end of Hitman altogether. So at least there is the hope that we will be able to find something, or find something out, or hear something new about what's going on with that eventually. Because I mean, they had to have been working on something, even through all the rumors and all the scary stuff that's been going on. And obviously because they had to buy themselves out, they did have to downsize, which is always an unfortunate thing to happen. So we wish anyone well who got stuck in that. But I mean, overall, I would say good news. Just for people, for the two of us who really enjoyed that Hitman game, it's good news to hear that they're going to be able to continue to do their work. The other cool bit of news, which is very, very expected from Nintendo, is the SNES Classic. Is a real thing, is coming out September 29th.
Put on my shocked face.
Yeah. Oh. I'm pretty sure that I'm on record on this podcast saying that I would be much more interested in an SNES Classic than I was in an NES Classic, just because that is my era. I never actually personally owned an NES. I always played friends' NESs, where my SNES was my first console, other than like a brief weekend where I had a Genesis that my dad ultimately returned for some reason. That's a complicated story. And this list of games.
I had SNES at my mom's house, and I had an SNES, or I had a Genesis at my dad's house, and one of those people I still talk with. So I mean, that's just to tell you everything that you need to know about that era of games.
That's messed up. That's messed up.
I mean, look, Nintendo does pay child support, so.
Good Lord. It got real dark real quick.
It does, didn't it?
Real dark. Wow. It was something like where it's like he got like this Genesis with all these games, and like we played it for the weekend, and then he just changed his mind to return it and bought a SNES instead, and I never understood. I really should. I wonder if he remembers that. I don't know if he would. Never understood what the reason behind that was.
I played Echo the Dolphin. It was dog shit. Returned.
But yeah, so I'll go ahead and read down the list of games. In an interesting choice, there are 21 games on this versus the 30,
21
versus the 30.
21, yeah.
Well, 20, say 20 plus one, should we say?
Yes. 20 plus one is the initial advertisement.
Yeah. Versus the 30 that was on the NES Classic. This is also more expensive, $79.99 versus the $59.99.
Comes with two controllers.
Does come with two controllers.
Comes with two controllers. So
has there been any confirmation about the controller cord length yet? I don't feel like I've heard anything solid on that.
I haven't heard anything about it. I'm guessing 2 feet.
Okay, 2 feet. I mean, there actually is not a there's not a cord. It actually just the controller connects directly to the system.
Yep.
It's effectively a hand. So. Yeah, so I mean that's a little disappointing that it's more expensive and it comes with less games. You think if they were bumping up the price, that they would at least be able to fill out, another 10 games to at least get it equal.
Yeah,
like I can understand if some of these games are maybe a little bit more expensive to get the rights to or whatever. There's more, third-party games on here stuff like that. But
I mean, there's a couple of third-party games on here. I would almost imagine that well, I guess it's been in, I think, on like virtual consoles before, but like the whole weird licensing that Square had with Super Mario RPG. I don't know how much of that plays into it because there's also like Final Fantasy is on this thing and some other ones.
Yeah.
But...
So here we're running the list. We got Contra 3, which I don't have any personal history with, but Contras are
that's a good Contra game.
I hear that's a good one. We got Donkey Kong Country, which I love.
Yeah.
A little scared that, like, having not played that in 20 years or whatever, that it might not hold up.
It's fine. It still plays all right.
Yeah,
for sure.
And this is one of those instances where it's weird, considering that it's Nintendo, that they could put Donkey Kong Country 2. It's probably for the best that they did put Donkey Kong Country 3.
It's for the best that it's for the best that they didn't put anything beyond the original Donkey Kong Country. They're not very good.
Donkey Kong Country 2, I think, is a real good game. I think 3 is pretty bad, but 2's
that's the one with the baby Kong.
That's the one with
fucking nighty that he wears.
Did Dudley Kong? What's this name? I don't remember what it is.
Dickhead Kong? I don't know.
It's Donkey, Dixie, and Diddy. It's got to be D something. I don't remember what it is. We got Earthbound. Hey, Earthbound. I mean, it's classic.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with Earthbound. Have you played Earthbound? I have not played Earthbound.
I've played. So when it came out to the Virtual Console on the Wii U, we started playing it. And then, as with everything that was related to the Wii U, it got dropped, at a certain point. That game still plays really well. I would be a little bit afraid. This is my fucking casual gamer thing, but like I would be a little bit afraid playing that game without the option for save states, because there are some of those boss fights that are absolute bullshit, so you kind of need to be saving a lot, and there are some points where you go through long periods where you just don't get the chance to save. So but I mean,
Final
like
Fantasy 3?
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 3 is good Final Fantasy.
Yep.
Again, you get the same thing. Like, I mean, I guess, was there ever
American Final Fantasy 3? Yeah.
I was gonna say, was there? Yeah. I guess American Final Fantasy 3.
So
you got F-Zero, classic. You got Kirby. You got Kirby Superstar.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
You got Kirby's Dream Course, which I had never heard of, but apparently is a golf game.
Yeah, it's the golf one. I don't think I've ever played that one. That's one I have not played.
That showing up on this list, I think, was the first time I'd ever heard of that game. Hey, you know what? Golf's fine.
Yeah.
You got a little game called
Kirby,
Link to the Past. No, go ahead with Kirby.
Yeah.
What Kirby?
I mean, Kirby has like never had a bad game, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
I can't say I've played enough Kirby games to have a definitive or positive answer to that.
Not a goddamn bad one. They're all fucking great. They're the best. Kirby's the best. Kirby is like down low, like actually the best Nintendo character, like fucking far and away. Look, he's so fucking happy.
Like actual character. He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Yes, it's great. He's so happy all the time, except for when he's in America. Then he's all mad.
So we got Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Obviously, one of the best games of all time.
Second best. It's probably like second best Zelda game. I think Breath of the Wild is a little bit better, but definitely better than Ocarina, I would say. Yeah.
I'm partial to Ocarina personally. We got Mega Man X, which is of course.
That's a good Mega Man game.
A classic Mega Man game. We got Secret of Mana. If you want to really get your hardcore RPG on. I did not play that.
Never
game.
played it.
That was not my type of game back at that age.
I don't even know that game is my type of game now.
Maybe. You got Star Fox. Star Fox is awesome. Some might say it's the last good Star Fox game. Maybe that's a bit.
No. 64 was good.
I know it's a bit harsh, but it's.
You know what's going to be really?
You got Star Fox 2.
Yeah.
Adam, they got Star Fox 2.
Yeah. What the fuck?
I don't know.
That's so weird. I mean, it's great. I love that they're putting it out in an official form.
Yeah.
And then whoever ends up hacking
and this is the only way you'll be able to play it legitimately.
Yep. Well, maybe if they do I would expect them to maybe do a virtual console release of this thing once they've sold through all their units on this thing.
What's virtual console? I don't understand.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Reggie doesn't know what the virtual console is. He's never heard it referred to as that.
I've never heard of this term before. Yeah.
The +1 game there. Star Fox.
That is what they call their +1. So if you're probably, everyone has probably heard this, but Star Fox 2 was completed in some form, if not 100%. Then it
was ready to be released. Yeah, it was ready to go.
They just held it back because they didn't think that it could compete at that time.
It was 95 that it was going to release, and they were about to start selling the N64, and the PlayStation was out at that point, and those graphics did not. This was tail end of the the SNES, and they just said no, we're just gonna funnel everything that we were gonna do with that into Star Fox 64. It's just so weird that this game is coming out. There's been a prototype that's been around for a while that I think got taken from one of the trade shows, but it took a lot of work for people to get that build of it together, and that's not even a completed build. So this is insane that they're putting this thing out.
Yeah, and that if they were actually going to do it, that it took this long to do is on effectively what is a console that is celebrating the Super Nintendo with a game that didn't actually come to the Super Nintendo. It's
a game that's a console that a lot of people probably aren't going to be able to get either, which is the really fucked up part of that. The NES Mini, the NES Classic, at least all of those games have been out in some form or another. I think it's really odd that inevitably this thing's probably going to be one of those situations where it's going to be scalped a lot on eBay, and nobody has said anything about doing any kind of pre-orders or anything with this. So it sucks that that's the way that it's coming out, because I want this game and I will be getting this game, and I already took time off. I already scheduled time off so that if I have to be in a line, I will be in a line. Which blows. I don't want that. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I would just like to fucking be able to have the damn thing.
Because basically every other game on this list is either probably already on Virtual Console, or if not, you can spend 15 minutes downloading some stuff from some random sketchy websites on the internet and play it instantly, except for Star Fox 2. So I mean, anyways, we got Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting. Absolutely fantastic game.
That's weird though, because that's not the best version of that game, and they've put out the best version. I think it's Hyper is the one that people look at as the best version of that game, but that I think only came out in the European countries. But even the European countries are only getting Turbo.
Yeah, I mean, I played a ton of Turbo, but I also played a ton of Super. So I'm a little disappointed that it's not Super, just because you're missing those 4 extra characters, if nothing else. Which at that point they were like, oh, these are these cool new characters. I can't believe they added new characters to this game. Where now, all of them are Super. I mean, that's just iconic Street Fighter at this point. But hey, that's a fantastic game. It is a little bit funny because that HD version of Street Fighter just came out for $40 on the Switch last month for some reason.
Well, it's got Hadouken training in it.
Oh, right. I forgot. I chose to forget about that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, so now we have what we call our super block. We got about 15 games that have the word super in the title. It's not that many. We got Super Castlevania 4. Can I make a brief just brief confession right here? We were talking about the Castlevania game series or the Netflix series earlier today. I've only ever played 2 Castlevania games. I've played Symphony of the Night because everyone has played Symphony of the Night, or at least should have, and I've played Lords of Shadows. That's it. I've never played any other Castlevania game of any kind. They put like 15 Castlevania games out on the DS that were all pretty good from the sounds of it.
I've played
all those old school Castlevanias. I've just never played any of them.
I've played 1, 3, 4, and then like it was only probably around 2011, 2012 that I finally played Symphony of the Night. Like I did not play that game when it was out originally, and then yeah, after that was Lords of Shadow.
Yeah, which
Yep.
This is obviously a completely different game. But basically the point, like when I play like Symphony of the Night is the first one I ever played, and at that point, like, why should I even go play the other? I mean, there's probably some interesting stuff in there, but I mean,
they're very different games though as well. Like the original Castlevania games are like when people talk about Metroid Castlevania sort of things, they're kind of generally just talking about Symphony of the Night. Like they're not talking about the previous ones, which just have
sure. I mean, because that's the game
such a different like way that you play them, you know.
Yeah, well, because I mean, Symphony of the Night is effectively the game that perfected that formula, you know, and then Super Metroid's in there somewhere as well. So anyway, Super Castlevania 4. That would certainly be an interesting one to go back and see kind of what old school Castlevania is like, because I just never played that game. We got Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which is good. I don't know if I want to go back to that.
Okay.
What?
I will disagree with that. I will respectfully disagree, because I don't think there have been any good Ghouls and Ghosts games.
Well, I mean, I see it's good as it's there. Like, I don't think I would want to go back to play that. Super Mario Kart, one of the best games. Yeah. No, go ahead, Ghouls and Ghosts. What?
I would take something else above that. That's like one of the things that I look in here and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's actually one of the few games that I'd be like, yeah, I would take something else instead of that.
I mean,
please,
And the one that always, when I looked at this list, the one that always stuck out to me was Kirby's Dream Course, because that seems like a weird off one to include. But hey, we got Super Mario Kart, which is absolutely fantastic. The best Mario Kart game. So. Played so much. I played so much of that game.
I played a lot of Super Mario Kart, but like, no, in no ways is that the best one.
Oh, come on! What are you gonna throw into the ring as the best Mario Kart?
Mario Kart 8. I'm gonna say Mario Kart 8 is probably the best Mario Kart game. Yeah.
Okay. Mario Kart 8 is really good.
It's really good. Look, I played a lot of Super Mario Kart. I played a lot of it, and it's really solid. But I think that Mario Kart 8's a lot better.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. That's a hard conversation to have, because there's like, the first one to do it versus like the perfection of the art. I don't know. We got Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, which is I love that game. I think that game is
fucking great,
fantastic.
Let's do it.
I have tried to like start that game a couple different times, all from legit sources. I swear they've all been legit.
Totally legal positions.
Totally legal methods of. But you know what I mean. But hey, that's a RPG-esque RPG.
Mm-hmm.
Except it's Mario and Bowser. Is that like the first instance? I mean, I guess Bowser's in Mario Kart, but I'm like, is that one of the first instances of Bowser being like a good guy, quote
Yes.
unquote? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's a real good game.
Yeah.
You got Super Mario World, again, one of the best games of all time.
Yeah, the best, definitely at least the best 2D Mario game for sure.
Yeah, I mean that I think is, I mean, Mario 3 is real good, but I would still lean towards Mario World. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that game is.
Galaxy is real good, but I still think I might take Super Mario World.
I mean, Galaxy is solid. 64 is
64
really
is
good. I think to me that's my favorite one so far. Hopefully this fall will change that. I would really love for fucking Odyssey to be fucking mind blowing because it seems like it's gonna be. But
yeah, you got Super Metroid, again, a fantastic, like that's what I was talking about when I was talking about like the SNES Classic. Like, these games are so many of like, this is like, these are one of the best games of all time. Or this is, I mean, Super Metroid, it's not super hard, but it's like, it's the best game in the series, obviously.
So
I'm sorry, I forgot about
can
Other M.
Can I make a confession?
Okay, Adam.
I have only played the original Metroid.
You never played Super Metroid?
No, never played Super Metroid. And I didn't even play the original Metroid until like years and years and years later.
I mean, that is the
on
same
my
with me and Super Metroid.
On my PSP. Back when you could fucking jailbreak and just destroy that system. The first time that I played a Metroid game, and the only time that I've really played a Metroid game, was on a PSP.
That okay. I mean, I will say I didn't play Super Metroid at the time, but Super Metroid is definitely one that I ended up going back to through well, originally through emulation, and then I did get it on Virtual Console on the Wii U as well. But it's a fantastic game. You should play it.
Probably will.
I like I know you like Metroidvania games. That's half of the Metroidvania.
I know. I like a lot of the Metroidvanias, and I haven't played a lot of the Metroids or the Vanias.
Yeah, well, I mean, you played at least the like I'm in that. Like, I played the Vania game and I played the Metroid game. Even if I never played Metroid Prime. Like, I certainly never touched like Metroid Other M. Like, I have not played a lot of Metroid games, but I played.
You big fan of Federation Force?
Oh God. You got Super Punch Out. Again, fantastic game. I don't know how much Super Punch Out I would actually want to play in this day and age, but it's a fun game for sure. It's not maybe not the super high quality of some of these other games we're talking about. And then you got Yoshi's Island, which is this game I liked, but I never loved. I mean, the crying baby, man. That's like burned into my soul. The sound of that crying baby. Oof.
Yeah, it's not great. Not a great follow up to Super Mario World.
I think that Yoshi's Island is good, but that's not what I would have wanted for a follow up to Super Mario World. Obviously,
that's
you know, hey, Yoshi was the cool new thing, but he didn't maybe need his own game that quickly or in place of a proper 2D sequel that could have been fantastic. So what's not on this list that you would have liked to see? Everyone points to Chrono Trigger, which I get because Chrono Trigger is a great game. It's also hard to be upset about that because Chrono Trigger is basically available to play on anything at this point in time.
Yeah.
But
there's some. I'm trying to honestly think of what's missing because it does feel like it's a very light list. I I guess you could have like tried to get like Mortal Kombat on there, but like, is that the version of Mortal Kombat you really want? Probably not. I think you probably more with like, you know, some of the arcade ports that eventually, like, I think the one that like a lot of people think of is Turtles in Time. That's like the one big arcade game that I remember people really liking on that SNES.
Yeah, yeah. There was again, it'd be harder ones to have. There was a whole lot of wrestling games that I was a big fan of on SNES. I loved, say, WWF Raw. I think was the main one that I really really liked. But I mean, again, like, are you going to really put that on? Are you really going to put that on something like this? That's kind of specific and random.
I think you also could have put, you know, something like, I guess it did. Well, it's a rare game, right? So you couldn't really put Killer Instinct on there.
No, they probably would have had a tough time with Killer Instinct. I
Yeah,
imagine.
I think that would have been. I mean, whatever. I mean, like, maybe that's the trade-off for Microsoft for Switch crossplay of Minecraft. I think also like NBA Jam, you totally could have put on there.
NBA Jam would have been a real good one for sure.
I think.
I'm trying to think.
I'm kind of looking.
I already talked about how I would have liked to see Donkey Kong Country 2, just because I think that it's not as good as the first one for sure, but I do think that's a real good game.
I would like to see the Disney games that Capcom did. Actually, yeah, a lot of the Capcom, a lot of the Capcom like Disney games, like Lion King, Aladdin
are both really good.
Really good. I think you also,
you know, we were talking about the Super Games Done or Summer Games Done Quick before the show, and they one of the ones that I watched with great joy was they did a Lion King run in that, and it was just really like, oh yeah, I remember this game, like how like they like played through it on like super difficult or something like that, which is just whatever. I was a little kid, I was that, but I remember that game being incredibly difficult back in that time. Those are good games.
Uniracers, obviously, as well. Could have put Uniracers on there, but they didn't. What else? I mean, what else? Like, this does feel like this is like a very. It doesn't feel like there's as much outreach to those third parties here with this one as it was with the original, but
like Super Star Wars or stuff like that too. Like those games were all right.
I wonder how much of a pain in the ass that would have been to license though, because
probably. I mean, hey, like we're talking pie in the sky stuff here. I mean, but also did like they put that out on PlayStation 4?
Yep. So you can get like super
weird bundle thing.
You can get it was like Super Star Wars, Episode 1 Pod Racer, and then like Battle for Naboo in this like bundle. But initially it was a thing where you could only get that bundle if you bought, I want to say, like the deluxe edition of Battlefront, or no, you had to buy the PS4 that came with Battlefront, and then it included that code.
That sounds. I feel like I have that, and I'm not sure where I got it. I feel like I got it.
I got it through some shadier means, but I did get it. You know, I was able to get it before, because I think now you actually can go and buy that pack. In full, but it's such a weird fucking way that they did it.
And also, I mean, that's being said, like that is a game that I thought of just because, but I mean, I also have no real interest in going back and playing those games because those games are difficult. Oh Lord, these games are difficult.
I think the other like really obvious one not on this list is Mario Paint.
Oh well, yeah, but that's
like I think like
complicated.
Yeah, I think then you go into the weird thing of like, okay, well, do we include the mouse? Like, what the fuck do we do? I played that thing without the mouse, and it was not ideal, but I
honestly did not know you could play that without the mouse.
You could. You could. It was not great. It was definitely a not great experience. But
Was
somebody is putting out like a new version of that mouse also, which is really weird.
okay. Was Tetris Attack, that was the SNES, right? And then the Pokemon
yes.
was when they. So that Tetris Attack, that is one of my favorite SNES games. Like, not of like the whatever the base all time games. Like, I love that game. I love Tetris Attack. Before they turned into Pokemon Puzzle League. Tetris Attack is it's just a real fun Tetris-y type of thing.
So this weekend, this last weekend, I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to play some fucking Super Bomberman, and I did. That game's great. That game's still really fun to play, and I kind of wish that like one of those Bomberman games had made it onto here, because man, those games are really, really fun. Even though like the entire time we were playing, like the computer was just kicking our asses really bad. It had been a while since I played a good Bomberman game. Kind of wish that had made it on there.
So I mean, I don't have the NES Classic. Does it? Does this not have like the save state stuff and whatnot that you can do with Virtual Console?
The original one does, but it's a thing where it's like one save state. I think it's like one save state per game. But it's the sort of thing where it's like if you fuck something up, you're screwed. You're just screwed. So like that is not a great way to do some of that stuff. Like there's definitely like some games that like you're looking at like with the NES Classic, and especially with this, because there are so many gigantic games in this thing. Like, like I cannot fathom like the fact that this thing has like Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy III, Super Mario RPG, Earthbound, and Link to the Past, like all on there. Like I think that would just be like, I think that's insane. Like to try to play those kind of like long form games in this thing. I just don't know how well that works, but I think that this one does have that save state thing again, but it always felt like really wonky when I used it with the NES Classic. So I hope they kind of get that in line a little bit better, because there was definitely a couple times where like a save state just wasn't there after we had done something with it. So
yeah, well, I mean, there's also something to be said about like with the fact that the Switch is now a thing that exists. It's disappointing that that we still don't have any news of a Virtual Console, because a lot of these games I would love to play in that kind of handheld, just take wherever and do whatever you want to with its state.
Yeah.
Would be really nice. As someone who was looking at my Switch the other day, going like, man, I wish I had just like a nice, just like single player game to play on that. Like I've been talking about, I've been playing Death Squared, but that's very much like sit down and play with my wife. Like I was just like, like Zelda, like I'm done with Zelda. Like I did all of the Zelda. Not interested in ARMS. Splatoon is probably good, but it's not that type of game. Like it's like I'm kind of waiting for that. Like, man, it'd be nice to just sit down and just mess with something on here. You just kind of sit down on the couch, sit in bed, and just play something. And like lots of these games would fill that void. Link to the Past, Super Metroid, Mario World, etc.
Yeah, for sure.
So
you think so the conspiracy is that the reason they're only selling this thing this holiday is that supposedly, again, all conspiracy, is that they're not going to launch their Virtual Console stuff until next year.
Sure.
So willing to put it like, yeah, we'll sell this thing this fall, and then potentially use this as their jumping off point to their Virtual Console, or whatever stupid thing they're going to call it, their new system for the Switch.
I don't even think that's even necessarily needs to be like, because I mean, they sold tons of. I mean, every NES classic that they made, they sold, while there was like a lot of those games were easily available through Virtual Console already. So it's like, if that was already a thing, granted, I mean, we about the whole Wii U and whether people Wii U's or not, but if that can coexist and that's not a big deal, I don't know why necessarily they would need to be, and maybe it is, and maybe they think that people would be less likely to run out and buy this if all of these games or the games that they want to were readily available on Virtual Console. But I still think it's Nintendo. And I still think a whole lot of people would, but Nintendo still is not. They haven't figured everything out yet. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But hey, we'll see. And maybe this will be the type of thing where maybe it's not crazy and unobtainable. Because I kind of just on a surface level was like, yeah, it would be cool to have an NES Classic. I don't really care, but it'd be nice to have one of those. This one, I'm like, yeah, I think I actively want this. Just because, hey, I mean, I only own like a handful of these games on Virtual Console, and even still, that's on my Wii U, which isn't even plugged in right now because of the Switch. So it's it'd be nice to just have a fun little thing to just do that. Get the actual new fakey, remake of the SNES controller will probably be fun. Yeah, it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing I would like to try for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. We're only like 2 months away from this actually being the thing that's out. So
yeah.
So, yeah. Did any of those I'm just thinking about the games that are on here. Did any of those weird characters from Super Mario RPG, wasn't there a frog and I wish I remember their names. Wasn't there the blob, yellow looking guy? Did those ever appear anywhere else besides that game?
No, because of the licensing issues that they had. So a lot of I think the only ones that ever appeared anywhere was oh god, what's the name of the?
I gotta look it up because Mallow is the.
So Mallow's the
Mallow's the talking about. We got Gino, who's the frog.
Gino. Yeah. I don't think that almost any of them appeared anywhere else though, because of the legal issues they had with that game for so long. The only place they wound up, I think, actually appearing was just in, hey, here's this Smash trophy. Yeah. I think Gino was the extent of it, in all honesty.
Oh wait, no, Gino's. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. What's the frog? That's a different game I'm thinking about. The frog guy. Is that Chrono Trigger I'm thinking of? I think
you're thinking of Chrono Trigger.
I'm getting my SNES RPGs mixed up here.
Yeah. I think you're thinking of Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, but anyways, I was just thinking. I was like, have they ever actually showed up anywhere? And yeah, I guess not. Just weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, alrighty. I think that's going to be it for this episode. I think we talked a decent bit. I knew we would talk about the SNES Classic because that is just a really cool, interesting thing. It's dumb. It would have been cool to have on the SNES Classic, even though it's kind of cheating, is Super Mario All-Stars. Just kind of a, hey.
Yeah.
In case you didn't get the NES Classic, you could just have that, those games on here too.
That would require them caring about their consumer fan base, and they don't.
Oh, I know. Because I didn't get an NES Classic, so if I kind of got the things that I mostly cared about from that would have been cool. But
yeah,
all right,
yeah, it'd be nice.
We're gonna go ahead and get out of here. As always, you can find us on the website. It's pixrelated.net. It's probably kind of quiet over there because it is the middle of the summer and there's just not a whole lot going on. But you can find the review that we put up there for Death Squared. on the website there. If you want to send us some feedback, you can find us on Twitter. It's at pixel_related, I think, right?
Yeah, I believe so. That sounds right. Hold on.
It's been a while since I've done this.
Bam for a little bit here. Pixel related. Yes, pixel_related.
Yeah, pixel. Just like I thought. Or you can always send us an email at feedback@pixelrelated.net. Thanks for listening. I was Kyle. That is Adam. We will see you next time. Oh, I lost it. Where's the button? There's the button.